MMA Boxing Talk here, coming at you with another video. I just wanted to put out a video talking about, the situation with John Jones and Daniel Cormier. Um, I'm a little late to the party, you could say. This happened, I think, early this week. But Daniel Cormier said that, once the UFC announced that Herb Dean will be the referee for John Jones versus Daniel Cormier took to Twitter, bitching and complaining. Basically, he doesn't want Herb Dean to ref, which is, if you have, full belief in yourself that you can win a fight, you don't give a shit who's refing, right? It's very, very rare. Like, I never, ever hear a fighter, especially in MMA, complain about a referee. Boxing, that's totally different. I'd understand why, fans and maybe a fighter would complain about a referee, but even then, like, in the UFC, there shouldn't be an issue. You have the main refs that ref all the big fights. So, and I think Herb Dean ref their last one, and that's why Cormier's pissed, because this is what Cormier says. He goes, Herb Dean better not let John Jones hold me up against the cage, you know, this rematch, or something along those lines, holding him up against the cage. And first of all, like Daniel Cormier, you're known for your wrestling and holding people up against the cage, grinding them out. You're the king of the grind. So what the fuck are you talking about, John Jones, he outgrinded you. He proved that he was the king of the grind. And you're trying to, after the fight, the first fight, DC was like, yeah, well, he held me up against the cage for 2 rounds, the last 2 rounds. Well, Cormier, why don't you get off the cage? Well, it's because you couldn't. So anyway, it's just ironic, It just shows his mental weakness. He's complaining about the referee. It's not Cormier's fault that Jones held him up against the cage in their last fight for 2 rounds. No, it's Herb Dean's fault, and that's why he doesn't want Herb Dean reffing. Well, I'm sorry, but John McCarthy or any other ref would have, let that that fence work, that not clinch work, but Jones having Cormier up against the fence, he would have let that go. Jones was still active. He was still throwing elbows and he was still throwing shots. It's not like he was just holding him up, pinning him up against the fence. So anyway, I just wanted to put out a little video about this, a little rant, you could say. But Daniel Cormier, he didn't look good at the Unstoppable press conference. He didn't look good. He showed mental weakness. And just mainly, he just showed that he's rattled by what the fans think and the fans cheering. He doesn't want to play the villain. Embrace the villain if they're booing you. But he doesn't want to do that. He is a good character outside the octagon. I respect DC. I don't like what he says. But he is a good family man, and he has a point. They're booing him and they're cheering for John Jones and all the shit John Jones has done. Outside the octagon, they really shouldn't be. They really should be the opposite. But that's just the way it is. And Cormier, you just have to. You just didn't. He didn't just. Sorry, I can't. Cormier just didn't handle the press conference very well, and he didn't handle the fact that the fans, booing him and cheering John Jones. So, even though Cormier is the new champ, everyone knows that John Jones is the real champ and that Cormier never beat him and what have you. But it's going to be interesting. This is next month, April 23rd. I mean, a little less than a month away, and things are already heating up. People are making videos all the time about this fight. It's a huge fight. I mean, John Jones, pound for pound, #1. In my opinion, he's the greatest of all time. That's gonna ruffle some feathers. People don't like hearing that. You got your people that believe that Anderson Silva or GSP is the greatest of all time. And I'm talking, in the UFC, because obviously you can make a damn good case for Fedor Emelianenko being the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. But when you're talking UFC, it's always Jones, Silva, GSP. And the longer Jones' career, continues, the case is going to be that much more irrefutable. So to me, it's already irrefutable that John Jones is the greatest of all time. But as his career proceeds, he'll cement it even more, where to a point where it's not even debatable. So if you like the video, subscribe. That's it for this one. Um, Make sure to check out UFC 197 next month, April 23rd. Fight fans, all fight fans, it's worth the money. It's a solid card. It's a solid card. And the main event, anytime you got the number one pound for pound fighter fighting in the world, you got to check it out. Not to mention, he's taking on Daniel Cormier, who could arguably be a champ in any other era in that, stacked 205 division with all those great legends. He could have possibly beaten all of them. Without John Jones, for sure he'd be the number one guy. We've seen that. He beat Rumble Johnson. He beat Alexander Gustafsson. So, anyway, it's going to be awesome next month. MMA Boxing Talk. Peace.